Whew, all right, so it is 2024, and you would expect people by now to be kind of settled in the post-pandemic transitions where everyone was moving all over the country and really just trying to get settled and find a new home. But guys, the trend has not stopped at all. In fact, people are still relocating all over the United States, and we're seeing folks move in with us from other countries even. So why are people still looking and actually making moves to Tacoma, Washington? I think it's a question that people ask. Why is anyone moving anywhere, really? So what I did was I talked to some of our clients and I got some of their top reasons why they ultimately decided to move from their home out here to Tacoma, Washington. And I'm just gonna go through a few of those reasons with you in this video, hopefully help you to decide if living here in the greater Tacoma, Seattle region makes sense for you or not. And we're getting after it right now. Hey, my name is Austin with the Titus Robertson Real Estate Group and the Living in Tacoma, Washington channel. We have people reaching out to us every single day looking to move out here to the greater Tacoma, Seattle region, and we absolutely love it. So if you're looking to make your move here the next 3 days or 3 months, honestly, it doesn't matter to us. Please reach out to us. We can make it such a more smooth move. You can do it by phone, call, text, email, or even better, set up a Zoom call with us. And if you know everything going on right here in the Tacoma market, hit that subscribe button. All right, number one, the thing that I've heard quite a bit about moving to Tacoma from some of our clients has got to be the climate. Now, I know what you're thinking. Immediately off the top of your head, you're like, no one wants to move to Washington. It just rains all the time. But actually, as I'm having these conversations, I'm seeing a completely different side. You see, people are moving from out of the area. For example, maybe they're moving from Florida, where it's really, really hot, or somebody like myself who came from the Midwest and dealt with a lot of snow. The mild temperate climate in Tacoma with the warm summers and the cool winters, but not really that like 100+ degree weather and not really like, giant snowstorms is a huge appeal to a lot of folks. They really enjoy being able to operate, play outside, take in all of the beauty of the Pacific Northwest, and not do it at the cost of weather. So doesn't it rain all the time in Tacoma? Well, no, and it's actually not a lot of rain. In fact, there are so many major cities that actually get more rain than Tacoma does. And those include places like the ones you wouldn't think of, like Buffalo, New York, and Chicago, Illinois. Of course, you see places like Hawaii and Florida that ultimately get more rain than we do, but we do get 162 days of pure sunlight. And I've got to tell you, the sunny season here, it's literally unparalleled. I've never seen weather that is more beautiful. You can basically rock a light jacket all year long. You really kind of just have one wardrobe for the majority of the year. Just throw on another layer or, take off a layer more or less. So the climate here is a huge draw for a lot of folks. The next one we've heard a lot about is our cost of living here. As people are researching and they're looking for different areas, what they keep finding is that Tacoma is one of the most affordable West Coast cities that you can move into, especially when you look at our close neighbors like Seattle or Portland, and even more so areas like Bellevue and Kirkland that just have skyrocketing costs of living and wild prices. If you're wanting to enjoy the Pacific Northwest and all that it has to offer without super steep cost of living, then Tacoma is definitely a viable option. Now, things that I've seen out here comparatively, homes are about 40% cheaper than they are in Seattle. So that is a very steep discount. But one of the things that I do really like is that over time, the average value of a property in Tacoma does go up pretty substantially. So it's also a really great place to invest while living here and not having to pay an ultra high cost of living. I love having a $185 electric bill. Being from the Midwest, I definitely saw electric bills that were anywhere from $400 to $600 in the summer and the winters. Having that lower cost there is something that has blessed our family a lot. not to mention no state income tax. Now, yes, sales tax is a little bit higher than where I came from, and I will admit that is something I had to get used to, but after our first year, I really kind of sat down, looked over the numbers, and what I found was it was a net positive. We actually made more money even paying a higher sales tax because we weren't having to pay that state income tax. And a lot of folks that are moving here consistently and continually bring up how much they love not paying a state income tax. I don't really notice much of a difference when I go out and eat versus when I lived in Missouri, and people really seem to enjoy the fact that they can have more diverse dining options in their cost of living and not be paying extra money. So if the Pacific Northwest is something that you're looking into, our area is just fantastic. Whether it's Tacoma proper or Bonnie Lake, Puyallup, DuPont, no matter where it is, if you're coming in, getting stationed at JBLM, you're definitely gonna have a cheaper cost to your life than you would if you were in Seattle or if you were in Bellevue or even down in Portland. All right, our next one, and this was one that really kind of stood out to me personally, but the diverse suburbs around Tacoma. Now, we've got other videos out there about all of these suburbs around Tacoma, but no matter what you're looking for in your life, or what style of community that you want to be in, you can find one within about 30 minutes of the main city of Tacoma. In fact, Chris, my business partner, lives in a small town named Buckley, kind of a Main Street-y type feel. I think it's a pretty conservative town in the way of voting, and they do things like logging shows, and they have drive-ins and things like that, like a little bit more of this small town feel. And then at the same time, you could also be inside of Tacoma, which in and of itself is a collection of small neighborhoods made into one giant city, and everything from, the north end, which is a lot more expensive, quite a bit more artsy, to the south end of Tacoma, which is a lot cheaper, and you see a lot more of the working class folks in South Tacoma. In and of itself, the city is just a very unique city, and you can kind of pick out whatever you want to live pretty close. So if having a good selection of suburbs to choose from is something that you find to be helpful, I know that's one reason why a lot of folks are choosing to live out here. I'm gonna put a card up. I just did a video on the top 5 suburbs to live around Tacoma for this year. So if you wanna check that out, click that one right there. The next one I've heard a lot in, it maybe not be the actual driving factor, but it's the cultural richness of the area. A lot of people live in areas that just don't have a lot going on, and Tacoma in and of itself has such a rich community integration. Everything from stunning farmers markets to a huge amount of museums, car museums, a museum of glass, the Washington State History Museum. There's just museums everywhere, not to mention concerts at all kinds of bars and clubs. The Tacoma Dome hosts a ton of events. It's like no matter what you're into in the arts, whether it's music, painting, one of my favorite things is just seeing the murals and stuff painted all over town. So no matter what you're into as far as a rich cultural community, you're gonna be able to find it right here in Tacoma. All right, now our last one. Listen, when I came out here, we looked all over the country. My wife and I traveled down to the Dallas area. We also loved 30A out by Destin, Florida. And then I got kind of roped into a trip out to the Pacific Northwest. And this last point is what was the final nail in the coffin that had us move here. And that is just the incredible natural beauty of the area. The Cascades and Mount Rainier are a constant backdrop. When you go through the winter and there's kind of that rainy season and you don't see the mountain every day, it kind of makes you a little sad. And when it does pop out, you're so ecstatic to get to see it. Not only that, but you're right there on Commencement Bay, so you get to see the seals, you see the orcas, crabs, everything you could possibly imagine. Wildlife is stunning. There are so many beautiful hikes that get you up into the mountains. On a really clear day, you have a great view of the Olympic Mountains. Tacoma's really built up on like hills, so you have these amazing views from pretty much anywhere that you live. And if you get a little further out, let's say like Midland, which is a community in South Tacoma, well, you might not have as great views of the mountains as you would maybe on the north end or coming around the bay, but you have more land, so you're getting more of the natural views from your land. To be honest, I can drive 2 hours, I can be in the mountains, I can be at the ocean, and I can be in a completely different world. And just having that exposure to the evergreens, to the mountains, to the rivers and lakes, it's something I really feel like is just unparalleled throughout the United States. I think the Pacific Northwest really has a hold on it. And if you want to travel a little bit out of the way, you can be in Idaho, which also has beautiful lakes and mountains, and then push a little further and you're in the western side of Montana, which also has amazing natural beauty. So I really think those are some of the reasons that people are still looking to move out here. I know for me, if I want to reflect on why we chose the area, it's a combination of a few things. For one, the natural beauty definitely was the hook, but also getting to live in the natural beauty at a reasonable cost of living was the most important thing for me. If we're gonna go from Missouri out to Washington State, where everything is so much more expensive, then I didn't want to put myself or my family in a position where cost of living could really crunch us. Now, we did dramatically increase our cost of living, but in some of the vein of these other stories, we've also really dove into a lot of this cultural richness by going to the farmers markets, by going out to the museums. Every third Thursday, a lot of the museums here in Tacoma are free for your families after you get off work at 5 o'clock. So there is so much to this area, not to mention things like just the amazing neighborhoods, the incredible education opportunities. Tacoma is a place that I think we will continue to see grow, and I think is going to continue to be a powerhouse. I was ranked last year as the #3 place to live in the entire country by Bankrate.com. So in that vein, I challenge you to keep continuing to dig into Tacoma. And if you're looking at making your move out here, again, whether it's the next 3 days or 3 months, shoot us a phone call, text, or an email so we can help you make the smooth move out here to Tacoma. And until next time, again, I cannot wait until you're out here so we can show you around.